fit? Man,
Yes, sir, we are. Good to see you again.
yeah, likewise.
Yes,
Welcome back.
sir.
I'm getting an echo on your end. We'll see if it goes away, but our infamous echo is back. We got an echo that visits us every now and then.
Well, see,
But
that's what happens when your words are so valuable, they get said twice.
yeah, yeah, sometimes two and three, right? They just start bouncing off and on. I love it.
Mhm.
All right, you guys, welcome in this evening. I hope that everybody's doing well. This is session. For us, the this is the session, and we're building on some things. And so, what we want to do is build all the way until our monthly meetup, which we're actually doing next week. And we're excited about that. We'll come in here and go live, and then we'll break off into a monthly meetup. We'll make sure during the week that you guys all have an opportunity to be able to sign up for that. So make sure that you're paying attention because we're going to get it to those who want it. I'm pumped about
Yeah,
that.
and I just want to warn you guys who want to get into that private session. And we're going to be playing any games in there. All right,
Mhm.
it's going to be some powerful stuff. It's designed exactly to help. And so for me, I'm sure you guys already know my style, or if you haven't picked up on it already, I like that direct approach when I coach.
Mhm.
And you're the same way. But in the ways that we articulate it, and the ways that we design it together, and we craft it, it's it's like it's understandable or digestible for everyone, and we hit it with different angles as to where there's just not one way. And
Yeah,
that's why I like how we create these strategies and philosophies together.
yeah, yeah, me too. Um, yeah, I'm totally looking forward to us being able to pour in. One thing that I know is that we align on that we want to love people and help people get to a different spot. And the cool thing is, we're not twins about what we do, so they're going to get two different avenues of information. And I'm pumped about that because I know it's going to be a lot of goodness, right? So I'm super excited about that. Super excited. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's get into our show and just let's kind of warm up with a little information question. I'll go first on this information question because I don't want to put you on the spot. But
Right?
so what's a small change that you think made a surprisingly big difference in your life? A small change that you think made a surprisingly big difference in your life. And I'll go first. Um,
Mhm.
so for me, it was to stop cussing. So,
Okay.
so I made probably about 2 or 3 years ago. Now I'm a coach, so I coach basketball, and it's pretty normal for the most part for coaches to let curse words fly. And then, even in my practice, I would, that sometimes is a part of like what goes on. It's really, especially when emotions get high, it's kind of like a normal way of speaking. So um, there was no justification as far as what I'm doing in life to really stop cussing. But
Mhm.
I said to myself, like, can I just be enough? Can I be disciplined enough to say the things that I would ask my children to say, right? Or say to
Mm.
not say the things that I would ask my children not to say. Either way you want to put it. Um, and then second, where am I going to start with discipline? And the best way is with the things that I am saying. And I remember reading a poster, and this is the kind of like the final hit home with this is I'm gonna mess the poster up, but I'll get it in the ballpark. But the poster said something like, be careful about your thoughts because your thoughts create what you say, and be careful about the things that you say because then they start creating
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
And be careful what you do because that starts creating. So it manufactures something, and so my words are manufacturing something. So I don't want filth coming out of my mouth, right? And so in
Mhm.
that idea, that small little change, I feel like has launched lots of avenues of discipline for me, um,
Mhm.
and has kind of even, I think, caused me to think more and caused me to do more and be more in my interactions because it used to just be easy to like sum up my frustration, right? Like that used to be easy.
Right.
But then for me to be able to just insert that in a practice for me, it's just a small little change because it's really not that big of a deal. You know, for me, I don't mind if people do curse. Um, well, I take that back. I do mind if my children curse. But as adults, like I feel like we have freedom of speech and everybody can say what they want to say. But for me, that's a small little change that I feel like
Mm.
made a big difference for me in my life. And that's been about 2 or 3 years ago since I made that decision. What about you?
One thing that is actually recent, more recent, I say, not so recent, but more recent,
Mhm,
is the realization. I guess a simple change, right, was first the realization that my natural essence is
mhm,
of a childlike nature,
mhm,
and I like to be playful, right? And going back to my childhood and processing what happened to me or what the things I went through. I mean, I had a relatively good childhood. It's just those things that were happening when they would happen, would oftentimes how I felt was my fun was taken away,
mhm,
right? And I had to just shut up and listen,
mhm.
or I just sit. I couldn't be how I wanted to be.
Right.
Or I felt afraid to be how I wanted to be, or insecure about how I was about myself.
Mhm,
And so it wasn't realizing that my true natural, essence here, when I'm in my purity, is when I'm just being me, and me is playful and joyful, right?
mhm.
But keeping that and remembering that there's a child within us all,
Right.
right? And nurturing that child, or playing with that child, showing that child attention.
Mhm,
And so it's like what I began imagining was that there's me on the outside, which is adult me, mature me, responsible me, bill paying me,
mhm,
right? Dad me,
mhm,
partner me, relationship me, everything, right? But then also there's a child in me
mhm,
too that wants to come out and play, that was robbed of the play when at younger in childhood oftentimes, or you know
mhm.
and so it's now in feeling that and realizing that in every day, just making that little change to nurture the child me, whether it's watching some cartoons or just doing other things. Like, I don't have, they're over here, but I bought some football cards. I
Mhm.
ordered some football cards. I began opening them because that's what I used to do as a child,
Right.
so not to get into it too much because I'll go on forever, but that's one thing. That's one small change for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how much like when we give ourselves permission to do certain things, how far that can go, you know. So for me, it was that small change was giving myself permission to not say the things that were shortcutting good
Yeah.
thoughts. And then for
Mhm.
you, it's giving yourself permission to be childlike and allow that to be able to enter your life, right? I think that's a huge deal for all of us to be able to take away um, and us being able to interrupt what we're doing right now in our life. And sometimes, mostly, it's the inefficient cycles of being is a huge key. So we have to start thinking about like, what are we doing to interrupt some of those cycles, you know? And so again, even if we're giving ourselves permission to do something, that's a possibility for interrupting these cycles. Well, we
Very
have
much.
we have a listener question. And so I'll ask it and I'll let you be the first to answer it, okay? I keep promising myself I'll change, but I slip right back into the same habits. Where do I start? That's a tough one. So
Well,
sorry, you got to take
well,
it.
I would say search for the clues.
Mhm,
Search for the clues of how you get on that path, because
mhm,
it's not about being on that path. It's about how you get on that path.
yeah.
Okay. What is it that gets you on that path each and every time? Look for the clues.
Yeah.
Try to create, if you were to create a system for yourself of how you were to negatively behave, make it a system from beginning to end. Investigate yourself and make a system for yourself so you know exactly how you think at that time. Right when something happens, what's my reaction? How do I think? How do I feel? Then what does it want? Then what does it, meaning it, right? That feeling, what does it make me want to do? And
Mhm.
how do I go about doing that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know your patterns from beginning to end. If you see a lot of what I advertise in my coaching a lot is the 9 stages of infidelity, which is something I created.
Mm.
And why I created that is because if we look, we everything happens in stages
Mhm.
when we're going through those negative patterns. And if we can catch and pinpoint those stages, then we can catch ourselves when not when we are already on that path, but when we are about to get on that path. So I would suggest to you, before you get on that path, what are the things that will happen?
Mhm.
How do I think? How do I feel? Why do I think and feel that way? How might I might be negatively interpreting the situation right now,
Right.
right? But again, getting very specific about yourself and knowing so you can unknow or unlearn, undo.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I keep promising myself I'll change, but I slip right back into the same habits. Where do I start? And I love that as a start fit. And I would tell the person the starting point is not battling the issue. That's the starting point. So if you think about the Chinese finger trap, the way the Chinese finger trap, I don't know if everybody's familiar with that, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but it's a circle thing, a cylinder that you put on your fingers, and if you pull it, it actually restrains you more. So the more you pull it, it restrains you more and tightens on your fingers, so you can't get out. The interesting thing is you have to leave it at its initial form. So whatever your problem is, you leave it at its initial form and then you take your fingers out, right? And so that's the same thing with a problem. Whenever there's a problem, you leave the problem at its initial form. You don't try to jumble it up and figure it out and try to get into it and figure out what's going on with it. Instead, you leave it at its initial form and you take your fingers out. Okay, in your problem, instead, you work on you becoming the person that you need to be doing other things. And the more that we can focus on being able to do the things that we're supposed to be doing. It's not that and I don't know if we'll be able to see it because I have a background on today, but it's not that the problem gets any smaller or bigger. It's just more of what the focus does. So the more we're not focused on it, the further we get away from it, the more that we can actually put other things in our focus. So that's our challenge whenever it comes time to starting to really be able to say, look, I keep slipping back into the same habits. You're battling the habit too much. And our being is about creating the things that we want to be a part of instead of battling away from the things that we don't want to be a part of, right? So it seems counterintuitive because it's like I need to get my finger out of it, right? I need to get my finger out of it, and we're fighting, and it's getting tighter, right? But you leave it at its form, and you take your fingers out, and so if we can focus on that, that's the starting point is being able to figure out how do I get started on focusing on other things and what are the things I need to be a part of that will help? For me, as an example, the more I lean into scripture and build from that, that helps me to become the person I want. And it helps me to reduce some of the habits that I don't want to be a part of. And it's not that those things that I don't want to be a part of, they stay the same size all the time, but just sometimes they get a little bit closer to me, and the further away they are, it's because I'm focused on scripture more, right? So, and everybody will have your thing that you want to do. We'll give you guys some tips in a little bit, but the most important piece is battle the problem less. That's your first step. So you're replacing creating more things that you want to be a part of, right? So I think if you were to combine those two things, like you have to understand, I think Fit, whenever you're talking about the stages, like you need to understand what's going on. And I think that's how these two things go together that you and I just talked about. So whoever the question was asked from, don't get confused. Like you need to understand the stages, but then at some point in time, when you understand the stages, get to the pieces that you need to really focus on to grow your life and strengthen rather than fight the problem. Okay. All right. So that kind of like gets us into the actual topic for today too,
Yeah.
because our topic for today is the first steps to break the cycle. And how are
Mhm.
we actually going to do that becomes like the ultimate, the ultimate tool right there. So interrupt the problem with new awareness. And if we can just go over some tools that we can maybe give to our audience a little bit, and we don't want to go into too much, like we're going to give them a reset eventually, but just how do people break the patterns? Like what are some things that would actually help us? And so I'll ask you a question that I think will be useful, and then we'll go back and forth. So we'll ping pong it. That's what I like to call that in basketball.
Ping pong.
Yeah, we'll ping pong. So what is
All right.
one
I like
tool
ping pong.
you give your clients to break cycles?
A tool.
That you give your clients to break cycles?
Mm, that kind of goes deep, right? So if we're going to talk, so what I'm very big on is investigating the problem,
Okay.
investigating what the issue is, getting to the root of everything. And so what tool I will give them is their why, and
Mhm.
finding their why.
Yeah.
Okay. And their why for everything, and why we do everything that we do. Right. And so when it comes to discovering that, it's in peeling layers.
Hmm.
And so teaching my clients to successfully be able to really discover their why, and not just like, obviously, I focus more on infidelity and cheating, affairs, but just in why they do the things that they do.
Right.
And so when we go through these cycles of asking yourself why, or uncovering a why,
Hmm.
you begin to learn why we do everything, right? And so one thing that I give my clients is their interpretations
Hmm.
in how they interpret things. So I've identified 12 different listening styles, 12 different negative ways that we interpret. Okay. And so there is what somebody says and how you interpret. So that often happens when someone's and they're in a situation where they say something and the other person becomes very upset for no reason, or they go, "Hey, whoa, what are you all upset about? I didn't mean anything." But then, "Oh, why'd you?"
Yeah.
And because they negatively interpret it, right? And so learning about yourself, of why you think the way you think, why you interpret the way you do. So, for example, one of the negative listening styles is listening for disrespect,
Hmm.
right? So that's how we can negatively interpret. So when somebody says something or does something, then it makes us feel a certain way. We don't like it. Okay, so how might we be interpreting in that way,
Hmm.
right? And so, am I interpreting that this person is disrespecting me by doing that? Okay, so then what does it make me want to do when I feel disrespected? How does it make me feel? So it makes me feel angry. But why does it make me feel angry? Because it makes me feel disrespected, and they're being disrespectful, and that means that they don't care about me, and that I'm nothing, and then they just want to push me around and bully me. Okay, so then what does it make you want to do? It makes me want to fill in the blank,
Hmm.
right? But I would say it's a matter of giving them a basic set of things they can choose from, like 12 different ways that I interpret,
Hmm.
and learning that and investigating that and becoming aware of that. So
Hmm.
that way, in those situations, we go, "Oh, here's how I'm falsely negatively interpreting. This is why I'm feeling that way. And now I know this. I know that I don't need to react in those negative ways that give me bad outcomes in my life."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Along with that, I'll give a tool too that I give my clients to break cycles, and really it could be used for a lot of things. But the concept of inside out for us is a huge starting point, um, because the more that we are are working on the inside, and this correlates with what I was discussing earlier, but the more we're working on the inside to resolve our issues, the more effective we're going to be at being able to resolve things like cycles that we don't want to be a part of. So sometimes people battle so hard what's going on the outside, that they get caught up in the things and they start seeing what's going on. This is causing me disruption. This is causing me problems. This situation created this for me. This situation, it's causing me to feel this way. And all of that interaction is outside in things. And for us, our opportunity in being able to disrupt cycles is always going to be on the inside. Because the more you are aware of who you are, it gives you a chance to actually create the interactions that you need to be a part of. And
Mhm.
so us understanding inside out gives a different kind of power than trying to battle with the outside things and using the outside things to be able to resolve what's going on. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's
Mhm.
a huge tool for us to be able to give clients as well. All right. So the second one, and I'll go first on this one. How can couples or individuals hold themselves accountable? So if you're in a relationship or if you are working to get in a relationship, there's a rule that I think you should live by. And the rule is be able to say what you're doing or don't do it. Right. And the more that you can live by that rule, that accountability factor that you give to yourself is a huge deal. So that's just self accountability right there, right? That's not even like another person keeping you accountable. That's self accountability, where you put something like that in place. And so you can create your own rules, and that's also useful, to hold yourself accountable. But again, if if you're going to do something, be able to say that you're going to do it or don't do it, right? And the more that we look at things like that, that helps us to break um, cycles that we don't want to be a part of, because we have an accountability rule. It's like I'm gonna have to show everybody that this is happening, right? So if I drink and that's something, it's something that I keep doing that I really don't think is a good idea, then I can't drink. If I'm okay with it and I can let everybody know this is what I do, then I'll do that, right? And so the biggest thing is on any cycle that you're going through that you say like, man, that's not something I want to be a part of, then you got to put that rule in place. And I think that that's useful for accountability to be able to use that. What
Yeah.
about you? Anything that you have for accountability that would maybe help
Yeah.
couples if it's holding each other accountable?
Well, if you both hold yourselves accountable, by default, you won't need to hold the other accountable,
Yeah, I love
right?
that.
But mhm, it is in asking yourself, if my partner is feeling this way, what may I have done to contribute to that? Right? How may have I added to this?
Mhm.
Right? And oftentimes we don't want to think that way, because we're, well, what's their problem? You know, and then we do ask ourselves, well, what did I do wrong, or did I do something?
Mhm.
Right? But in learning what we do, in holding ourselves accountable to not just learn our lesson, but learning how to apply the fix of how to make sure that we do not keep making the same mistakes. So
Mhm.
holding ourselves accountable, in finding out, okay, how may I might I be contributing to this? Because if you think of it like this, in if you want to take full accountability for your life, say that the reason why my life is the way that it is because of me.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, things happen, but you know what? My life is the way that it is because of me.
Mhm.
And I love that philosophy because, again, if I made my life one way, then I can make my life another way.
Mhm.
If life made me this way,
I
then
was
why
wrong.
can't I make my
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But it is, again, like we're, and it's almost like the theme again, making those changes internally
Mhm. Yep.
to where they're made out here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting
Yeah,
how
it's
it all ends
interesting
up
how.
kind of stringing together, right? Um, so what small daily choices can lead to big changes? And I'll go first on this one. I think no, you're up first, actually. I'm not gonna let you off the hook.
Put it up. What is it now?
Yeah, so here's the question. What small daily choice can lead to big changes? If you were to give
Mm,
somebody who came in, you said, here's a small choice that you could make, and you're gonna get big changes. What would you give them?
I'm just my mind's going on overdrive right now. Oh, which one do I choose? Oh man, come on now. That's like oh, so oh man. Well, think about it. Oftentimes, when we are making decisions that are not going to be beneficial for us, our life, or our family, is when we are disconnected.
I love it.
And oftentimes, we take it for granted
Mhm,
that we are connected because we wake up and we feel good. Well, wake up. All right, life's good. This is good. That's good. I'm good.
mhm,
But again, we're being circumstantial. We're being conditional of
mhm,
our circumstances to be connected,
mhm,
right? And then so when our circumstances aren't ideal, we become disconnected because we are not strongly connected. The Wi-Fi signal, it's a couple of bars there.
mhm,
And then what happens is when we're in those situations, we're vulnerable, but we are not our connection is not strong. Whether we're connecting up here or we're connecting in here, we are not connecting. So the connection isn't strong. Again, we are vulnerable when those things happen. We are not purposefully taking that time to connect, to
mhm,
command, to create. We're waking up and we're getting created by life, trying to create, but we're getting created. We're being reactional to life. When we're not going in, we're creating our energy, we're creating our connection to our source, to our higher power, whatever it is. Really, right? Making sure that we are connected, making sure that our partner and I are connected, our
mhm,
children and I are connected,
mhm.
friends and family, right? And so that's what I would say.
Okay. I
One,
love that. I love that. And that's honestly, I wish I would have gone first because that's kind of similar to what I was gonna say.
I stole yours. I
But
stole it.
yeah, yeah, right out of here. So here's the
That's the
thing.
last time you're gonna let me go first.
I know that's I'm gonna get it in and then make it difficult for you. But here's the way that I would say it, and there might be some useful information in here is so I treat addiction scenarios, including infidelity, actually, um, as if it's a connection missing situation. So even if you're using alcohol, it doesn't matter what it is. Like I always say, it's an absence of connection is what it is. And so for us to be successful, we're going to have to actually repair your ability to receive and give connection, right? So same thing with any other cycle type scenarios is I really believe that we have to start with intention, and that's similar to what you were saying. And I think a lot of people are missing it. You were saying about how life is just kind of dragging them. And the way I like to tell my clients is like, you have a choice. You could either get in the driver's seat or you can get on the bumper. Either way, you're going.
Mm.
So you want to be in the driver's seat, you want to be in the bumper, right? And
All right.
so that you got to be intentional about being in the driver's seat. And the more that you do that, the less time that you have to spend time on cycles that don't get you to places you want to be.
Mm.
So if you're not filling your day on purpose, then your day is getting filled by something else on
Yep.
purpose. And
Hmm.
the more that we can think about it this way, intentionality becomes the huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that I would tell people, if you're going to make a small daily choices, be more intentional about your day. In the morning time, don't just let your day happen. Or actually, I would say in the evening, don't just let your day happen. Even I have to get better at this. What's going on tomorrow? And let me make sure I know what I'm gonna do. If you're not good at doing it yet, maybe don't do by minutes, but know every hour, like what's the thing to do? Because if you don't feel it, your cycle things that you don't want to be a part of will feel it. I promise you. And so I think Phil, will feel it if you are not intentional. Okay. So I would say that's one daily choice that you could make that's really going to lead to a whole lot of difference in your life. All right, man, that was a lot of juice that we just gave for breaking the patterns. You know what I mean? Like,
Definitely.
come on
Yep.
now. All right, let's do an energy spike. We're at our red flag or real talk scenarios, which is one of my favorite. We got a little twist on it though today.
All right.
Instead of us doing like red flag or real talk, we can say red flag or real talk, but we want to put like what's the first steps. So here's a scenario.
Okay.
And-
Man, you always got something, man. You always got a bag of tricks, man. You can't ever just. All right. What is it now? What do you got going on now?
I'm mixing it up on you. Chip, chip, chip. All right. So the partner says they'll do. Oh, I like this one. I like this one really because this actually
Okay.
happened.
All right. Let's see what we got here.
If you hear it fit, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I've heard of that happening." Partner says they'll go to counseling someday, but never schedule it. So, what's the first steps?
The first steps for what?
What would be the first steps if you were like? What would be the first steps for that person who is in a situation where um their partner says, "Hey, I'll go to counseling someday," but they never schedule it.
So they want their partner to go, or their partner saying they're going to go, because it's
Yeah,
a matter of why are we going to counseling? What's the need for it?
yeah, but let's say
Right?
that the partner says, "Hey, I'll go to counseling," and
Yeah.
they don't go for it. So you're saying they first got to find out what's the need for it.
Yeah, like, yeah, why are we going? What's the need for it? Because is it the one partner wants the other one to go, or that partner that wants to go
Let's say
is saying,
this.
but
We'll add into it. We'll add into it. So the partner
okay,
says they'll go to counseling someday, but never schedule it. And um, we suspect infidelity in our relationship.
well, that's a definite red flag right there.
It's a red
Okay.
flag. What's the first
Yeah.
steps?
And so if it's the betrayed, the
Yeah.
first steps for the betrayed
Hmm.
is you let them know, hey, this isn't a boundary.
Hmm.
This is what is it I need you to do.
Hmm.
This is what's required.
Hmm.
Okay. Whether this happens, this is going to happen. And if it doesn't, well, then this doesn't happen.
Hmm.
But so many times we don't emphasize that enough, and we create these what called boundaries, and we continue to allow them to be crossed again and again. But in situations like that, I would definitely recommend to somebody or invite them to take the advice to make that a requirement. And it's kind of like this: you have plans to build a house, and you can't start building until the foundation is made. You can't start moving forward building that until this is done.
Hmm.
Right? You can't paint the walls until the walls are up first. We cannot continue in this until this is done, and until this is done, and then we can, all right, we can talk about it. So
Yeah.
that and that.
All right. Red flag. I'm gonna go real talk. And I'm going to use the
Okay.
same scenario. And here's why I would say real talk. I don't think, and this probably would seem weird to everybody, but I don't think therapy is for everybody. I don't think coaching is for everybody. I don't think counseling
Right.
is for everybody. Um, and nor do I think that everybody is ready at the same time either. So it needs a conversation. And I will tell you guys this. I remember this saying that goes, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And the second part of that gets missed too often, that was taught to me, is but if you put salt in his oats, then he drinks the water. So what that says to me is not like a manipulation thing. It's more of like, I have things that I need to do and work on that I really need to focus on more than getting a commitment from somebody else to work on theirs. And what I believe is that, and I've seen, is that as I do my work on me, I get lifted so much that either people are going to have to lift with me or they drop off. And I don't even have to give an ultimatum about that. I just have to keep doing the things that I need to get to. And again, as I get to that, there is a certain amount of interaction that can and cannot happen. Like, hey,
Mhm.
I want to do I want to do silent treatment, but I haven't necessarily gone to therapy. Okay. And then so I'm the person who's on the receiving of that. Hey, I'm not doing silent treatment. I'm focused on going and doing the things. Here's the things I got to tell you. You could stay silent. Right. But eventually that stuff wears out and there's just no fit anymore. Eventually, if that keeps happening. But most likely, this is what's really likely to happen. If I'm getting to a place that I need to be, it means love. And ultimately, the thing that break down the walls of miscommunication, of not communication, of distance is love. It's the resentment and the hard feelings and the hurt and the all those other things that actually start putting cement inside of bricks, right? And start layering that over and building this big old thing. So one of us has to stand up first and say, look, I'm going to choose to be focused on the things that mean grow love in my heart. For better or worse, I can't control what's happening on the other end, right? So I would give somebody the first steps is to focus on building on the inside and getting to a place where you are what you want to be and see what it looks like at that point in time. If you have hatred, resentment, frustration is kind of normal, but the resentment piece is a little bit too far, right? If you have those things in your heart, that part I would love for you to be able to work out before you make a move on trying to figure out that it's a red flag or not. So I think it's real talk. All right, that's my summation. So I know I went
Yeah.
long with that, but I'll take it. I think it's useful. All right.
Yeah.
Next one, and I'll go first on this one. Someone starts journaling but gives up after 3 days. Oh man, I've done that before. So I hesitate to say it's red flag, but it's definitely a red flag. And the reason I think that it's a red flag, well, I'll go with the steps that you need. Any of the red flag scenarios, even I don't think somebody else should be in charge of that, right? Like, so I don't. If you were to tell me, Fit, like, hey, I journaled for 3 days and I gave up. Like, it's not up to me to be like, you're bad for it, and
Yeah.
like, it's up for me to like love you as much as possible and tell you like, hey, I know that there's goodness in journaling, but be where you are and continue to grow that as much as possible. Right? The requirement in our interaction is for you to be as great as you possibly can. I don't know what that is for you, right? And the requirement for me is to be as great as I can be so that you can get better, right? So that I can get better. That's the requirement.
Yeah.
So there's no less. We still have a standard. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying that you're bad for it. Like the goal is like just meet the standard, So I think that it is a red flag because it's hard whenever we're not consistent with things. Whenever we go to start things and we don't keep doing things that are good for us, that's a hard thing for me to watch. And it automatically is like something's going on. Right. And maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. But the most important thing to me is like, can we stay consistent with things? And that's something that I know, like, again, I've been through myself that has to have some work. What do you think?
So to make the game fun, I think every single answer you give, I'm gonna give the opposite. All right.
I love
You
it.
say red flag. I'm
I'm
gonna say
real talk.
I'm just gonna just do it. All right. This is just to be. All right. So all right. So when it comes to journaling, right, it's important to build habits, build discipline, to really commit. So I would say it's again for context, it's circumstantial. Why are we journaling? What's the point of it? Are we
Right.
doing it as, hey, you know what, I'm gonna try journaling just because,
Yeah.
right? And then we do it for 3 days. Oh, it's not really for me. Okay, no big deal. But here's the thing, right? So I would say what would be more important is something like uh after 3 days, you're not communicating and you're shutting down like you used to.
Mhm.
That right there would be like a red flag.
Gotcha.
If you commit to talking about your feelings in a calm way and you're no longer shutting down and you can't even do that for 3 days,
Yeah.
right? So that's a definite red flag, or real talk. Okay, well, why does that keep happening? Here we go, talking about the cycles again.
Yeah.
someone's inability to break their own cycle. So it's, yeah, you're right. It's a red flag on their own part,
Mhm. Mhm.
calling out their own red flags. But in a real talk scenario, you know, uh, okay, what is it that is stopping you from doing these things, right? Again, what is getting you on that path? What's preventing you from doing that? Because I'm sure of our minds is we can have these subconscious blocks that's stopping us from pursuing our emotions down on paper because it's scary, or we, you know, still stuck in that other cycle of getting distracted. Maybe we're addicted to our phone, whatever it is.
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know So
Okay.
the real talk in discovering more of the why that continues to happen. If it's that important to you to journal every day
Mhm.
and you're not able to, that's a big problem.
Yeah,
But it can be solved.
absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next one, you're up first. And you'll give first steps. So if you can give first steps to this person, what they should do next. You tell a friend about your struggles, but don't ask for accountability.
You tell your friend about your struggles, but you don't ask for their accountability.
Yeah, you don't ask for their accountability.
You want to know if that's a red flag,
And we need some steps. We got to give them some steps. Like, what should they do
right?
first?
So here's the thing: being open your mind and going, why am I telling this person about that? So why am I sharing this? What's the point of this? Okay, am I just doing it to vent? Because again, remember, what you continually speak is what you create,
Mhm.
and nothing gets resolved. And so holding yourself accountable to be ready to receive help, to go, hey, I'm ready to face that vulnerability, and whatever judgment or criticism or whatever you have on me, tell me, because I'm ready for it, because I want it that much. So
Mhm.
it's a matter of, if you want it enough, are you done with how life has been going?
Yeah.
Are you done with yourself?
Mhm.
Well, then, if you have somebody there, especially that can help you and hold you accountable, that's a resource right there that's oftentimes overlooked. That's why people have personal trainers.
Yeah.
The workouts, they can learn them, right? But they
Yeah.
have a personal trainer to hold them accountable.
Mhm.
And so it's in the first step is asking yourself, how much do I really want this?
Mhm.
And what lengths am I willing to go? And when we're on a journey of self-discovery and real change, vulnerability is required.
Mhm.
So being ready to face that vulnerability and being open to asking someone, can you hold me accountable?
Mhm.
Or even holding yourself accountable to meeting with that person periodically, or talking to them, or whatever it is. Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I think it's a red flag for myself, and if we stick in context with the whole breaking cycles, when it comes time to sharing your struggles but not asking for accountability, you're like on the edge. You're like right there. And so, my question that I would like for somebody to do with the first step is ask yourself, um, what's stopping you. That's the first part. And then the second part is use some courage and go ahead and make the ask, even if it's a small accountability scenario. So you might just tell that friend, maybe you don't say like, hey, hold me accountable for X, Y, and Z, which is the most challenging thing. But instead you say, hey, can you just hold me accountable for part A? Or can you just
Mm,
check back in with me and see how I'm doing on that scenario? So it might not be a power struggle accountability type scenario where they're telling you what to do, but instead they're just checking back in so they can re-listen again so you can say it out loud. So there's different
mhm.
opportunities, and I would love for you to be courageous enough to explore what it would be like, especially when we're talking about breaking cycles. All right, the last one, red flag and some steps. So you make one small change, like a morning affirmation. So that's kind of an interesting red flag or not, but I think that that definitely is just real talk. Um, a small change really matters to me. I think a small change is actually a big deal. And like a morning affirmation starts growing into something because we're always planting seeds. So I don't think it's a red flag at all. I think the first step is to stay consistent with that as much as possible. What would you say?
Yep.
You
I
agree?
agree with you. Yeah,
Boom.
I agree with you.
We're on it.
There it is. Yeah. It's those small changes. Can you make a small change and stick to it?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you do 3 push-ups
Yep.
every day before you get out, right when you get out of bed? Can you
Yeah.
do 3 push-ups? And that's 3 push-ups. I mean, depending on what your physical state is on push-ups, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever action it is, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, those small changes and sticking to them, because then you start to restructure your brain. You start to change the chemistry of your body and go and building your discipline,
Yeah.
building your focus, building your confidence, building your willpower. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I think it's a huge deal for us to build up those things, and every little bit matters, you guys. Don't
It's-
think that that doesn't matter, right?
yeah, little by little, and I reference a lot of it to like weightlifting or fitness.
Hmm.
When you want to grow physically, like more muscle and get stronger, you don't put, you put however many pounds on the bar, and then
Yeah.
you, all right, I'm ready. Just the next day you double that amount and expect to be stronger. No, you gradually build more over time, but it is in that consistency that grows. And the
Hmm.
growth comes over time, and it's not that one big thing that's going to do it. It's those little things with your partner,
Yeah.
right? Done over time consistently. It's what builds the trust, what builds the stability, what builds the connection, builds the love.
Yeah.
It's that consistency.
I think a lot of people stop too because they don't, because they're not consistent. And what I like to tell my clients is like, even you consistently being inconsistent creates a consistency. And so what that looks like in real life is maybe you're starting to practice telling your partner that you love them every single day, right? And you want to make sure you get it in no matter what. And so you do that for a week and you're pretty good at it. And you're like, dang, I forgot. And I haven't done it for week 2, week 3, week 4, but I'm back to the next month and I really want to get back on the wheel again. And so you start doing it again, right? And now by the 12th month of you being inconsistent with that, you've at least done it 12 weeks out of the year. And that created a consistency. So believe me, it counts even whenever you try to be consistent and you're not, right? And so I would say you guys just keep focusing on it. Um, in any case, like some is better than none, especially when it comes time to us making advancements in our hearts. All right, so we're going to try to help you guys with the weekly reset. The more that you guys have these, I think it gives you some real tangible tools to be able to um, do something during the week that will help you in being able to focus on whatever topic we're talking about. But this week we're talking about being able to really break cycles. So here's the first one. It's a common one that we give, or that I know I give, which is being able to journal some pattern that you have going on. So write about the situation you want to change, and just keep talking about what it is. And so I think the more you put it outside of you, the more useful that it will be. Fit, you want to explain the second one?
Number two, set one accountability partner. Share your goal with one person. So if you want to try something new, if you're going to implement something new into your routine, let your partner know, let your best friend know, hey, I'm going to do this, and set a goal for the next, 7 days. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to text you every single day and let you know when I've done, or I'm going to show you a picture of it and go, all right, great. And then, however you want to make it fun. All right, you don't do it, you're taking me out to dinner, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? I always like, when you're setting a goal, make it worth it, make it fun, make it exciting,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. In my business coaching, that was one of the more powerful things that they gave us in the week like creating and having. Are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm here. You're just chopping out or cutting
Can you
out a
hear
little
me?
bit. Yeah, I'm here.
Let me make sure that I'm
Oh,
here.
I don't know. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Okay, perfect. Um, so so um, so yeah, that was a huge deal for us to be able to have an accountability partner. The next one was for us to pick one kind of small daily action. So even if you do like a 5 minute reflection, I think us it's so difficult for whatever reason sometimes to get into prayer, but prayer might be a helpful one or some kind of gratitude list. But just being able to find some small little action that would help you, I think, will help you to reset your week as much as possible. All right. All right. So before we get into our word of the week, which will be our final segment, I want to give everybody a invitation to go deeper. So for everybody who's ready to actually break cycles, next week we will be in a private meetup, um, and I'm super excited about our session meetup next week. And so it's where we're going to walk you guys through some tools and some step by steps situations so that you can actually know like what people are doing to be able to get through some of the hard things that they have to go through with cycles, and it actually builds on each week or each month. A lot of the things that we're talking about in here, we can get more specific with you in our meetup. Yeah.
And you know what? When it comes to diving deeper, I actually wanted to dive in deeper on a topic with you specifically. It's a question that I had for you, right? And I'm gonna put you on blast.
You put me on the spot.
Yeah. How do
All
you
right.
like it, huh?
I'm doing some pull-ups. Get ready.
All right. I'm coming out swinging. Okay,
Mhm.
because this one hits deep because it, I experience it so much when coaching my couples because it's the family dynamic, and that's your alley right there, licensed marriage family therapist. So working with families, and one thing I wanted to ask you to offer to my audience who has experienced infidelity and experienced betrayal, and the kids are involved, maybe they know what's going on, maybe one of them seen something or heard something,
Mhm.
seen them out with their affair partner, heard them talking to them, whatever it was, they get involved. So how does a family, what can a family do to recover from those situations where the kids know what's going on, and everybody's maybe upset with each other, maybe so the kids are upset with one. I mean, what
Yeah.
what are some things a family can do together, to work through that?
Yeah. So the first thing is that I think when we um when there is infidelity, like all goodness kind of goes out the window as far as being able to really help our families and love our families. Like it's a difficult thing to do. You know, it breaks the family's heart because of the trust factors. But then like, when's the time to repair? What should we say? Like, it's not just a matter of oh somebody cheated. It's now it complicates everything as a family. Okay, if we're going to get back on track, and this won't be the favorite answer, but I promise you it's going to be the ultimately the most successful answer long term, as long as we're trying to move that way. So if you have to do this, like you just do one part of what I'm saying and then you just stop and say it's not working, it's not going to be useful. So don't do it that way. um, if you're experiencing in your family infidelity and your children know and or anybody else, but you're ready to flip and make a change, start telling the truth. The truth is actually the thing that gives everybody freedom. And so we need transparency inside of our family. The hardest thing is a lot of times we take the lie and we want to continue the lie because we don't want to hurt people. Well, you've already done the hurt. Now it's time to start doing what's going to cause the strength building. And I know that's not the favorite because a lot of people are like, don't let the children know, don't do da. But meanwhile, the neighbor comes and lets the children know, and they hear it from their friends at school, or they see it in a different scenario. So at the end of the day, even if they never find out, and there are age appropriate ways and there are age appropriate things to say. I don't know the ages of the children or what's going on specifically, but I will say to you, you give an age appropriate truth to everybody that you have in your family if you're going to start moving in the right direction. And so the more that you can do that, that means that you're ready to actually make a change to yourself. That's not a signal to anybody else. Because the person that you're harming when you're not willing to talk about what it is that you've done, the person you're harming is yourself. Because it's you who hasn't got to a point where you can fully trust that I'm ready to make a change. So if we're looking for a next step as far as being able to break that cycle, it's start being truthful about what's going on. Mom or dad made this mistake. This is a mistake that I made. I regret it and I'm sorry for it. And I'm going to do everything I can do to try to get to a better place. Right. And the more that we can focus on that, that's the thing that gives us the chance to grow. And it grows our family because now we can be honest. It starts allowing us to say to each other, look, I make mistakes and I can get better from them. Right. This person made a mistake in our family and we learned how to forgive them. Those are important aspects about being a family. It's not having the perfect family that matters, because that's not even possible. It's having a family that knows how to communicate after the mistakes are being made. And so now that that's happened, let's start telling the truth. Let's start being transparent. Let's start putting ourselves towards building the family instead of trying to cover up all the things that have happened. And sometimes that's more than others. Like some situations, I've been in so much stuff that now I have to really, really do a lot of covering. Right? Sometimes that's the case. How much are you willing to uncover becomes the question. Like, what do you really want to move forward on? And again, I think there's age appropriate things, and I'm not giving advice on telling details about your scenario. I'm saying move forward in truth. That's the most important part. Okay. So for a family that wants to move to goodness, instead of having your family figure out through all kinds of other things, use age appropriate truth to give um, to your family members. Obviously, if your children are adults, you can talk a little bit more candid about what has happened. Um, if your children are babies, like a lot of times their mind frames and understanding aren't even there, and you use less to have conversation. At that point in time, might be daddy or mommy made a mistake, right? But then when they're adults, it might be like, hey, I stepped out on our family and it's not something that I want to be doing in my life, right? So we're trying to use truth, and that is to me the repair. Don't think that because you made a mistake you need to cover up with lies. So here's where I get this advice. It, in the Bible, and I actually have, this is supposed to depict Garden of Eden. It's an assignment that I've got going on. So in the Bible, in the Garden of Eden, Eve was deceived, and then she obviously, like, Adam partake too. And instead of Adam like taking accountability, he was like, it's the woman you gave me, right? It's the woman you gave me. Like, I always think, what if it would have been different? He would have said, like, man, I made a mistake right there. Instead, he allowed the whole thing to go bad. Right. So no matter what it is that you do wrong initially, like, don't do the second thing wrong. You did the first thing wrong, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
But flip it now. Like, look, I take full accountability. I didn't say the things and study the way I was supposed to study. It's not right. It's on me. I got to move on and move better at this. Right. And the more that we can learn that from those scenarios, we're going to be in a good situation eventually. Okay. But we have to align correctly. Okay. Any questions about that? Or was there not enough information in there? Or did you need more clarification on anything?
Oh, that was beautiful. I love that right there. I think that was detailed and exactly what I was hoping that you would give to the audience.
Okay.
Because yeah, that's it right there. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and anytime you guys have questions, both me and Fit are open to answering these questions that you guys have and that can really serve you. We always have something to talk about, but your conversation specifically is the most important thing for us to have a conversation about. So we will take the time to do that. Okay. We are over a little bit, but I do want to give a word of the week before we take off. And that word of the week, discipline. And there's nothing better than discipline to be able to really stop our cycles, because that's ultimately what it takes, is for us to be a little bit more disciplined to get to doing the habits we want to be a part of versus the habits that we don't want to be a part of. Okay. So we can apply discipline everywhere, and we won't go too far into it because I think a lot of people know what that means, but let's really capitalize on that as much as possible. Fit, anything else before we get out of here?
Just if you're gonna learn to be disciplined, learn to be disciplined through being disciplined.
Hmm.
Right? It's like if you want to learn how to focus, focus on staying focused,
Hmm.
being disciplined to being disciplined. Right? And if you want something you've never had, you must become someone you've never been. But before you become someone you've never been, you must do something you've never done
Hmm. Hmm.
consistently. And that takes discipline.
Yep, absolutely. All right, you guys have a good night.
You guys.